right. Let's start by saying Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rucha Kodash. All right. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Memorial Blowing of Trumpets and Various Topics. I'm joined with the Elder Kanak.
Shalom.
And pretty much, last night I was just doing reading a little on the Memorial of Blowing of Trumpets, and different precepts, following different precepts in the scriptures. And there's not a whole lot of information in the scriptures. You're gonna, when you try to look for more info, it just, pretty much the Memorial of Blowing of Trumpets was the head of the new moons. The small hats call it Rosh Hashanah, which Rosh Hashanah is Ra'ash, which is head, Hashanah, which is the year, head of the year. And they say that that's the beginning of the year, and it's not. What the Memorial of the Trumpets is pretty much ushering in the ending of the Feast of Ingathering. It's the last harvest of the year, which comes in during the time right after the time of the Feast of Tabernacles. And pretty much this month is a heavy month because you have several, actually 3 high holy days. One of them being a super high, high holy day, which is the Day of Atonement, which comes in on September 30th at evening into October 1st. All right, so that'll be the Day of Atonement. The Elder Pastor put up a video on it. I believe the brother Quanawath from the New York camp will be making his video on GMS New Moons and High Holy Days live tomorrow. And Lord's will, I'll do another remembrance. I can't think of the word right now. Remembrance video tomorrow. Just to keep you in the loop of when to keep it. So right now we're in the Memorial of Blowing of the Trumpets. All right, so we're going to go through a few precepts on it. And there's some little bit of info that I ran across in the Blue Letter Bible. Touch on it, but what we're going to do is we're going to start off in the book of Leviticus 23, which the book of Leviticus 23 is the majority of the high holy days that we keep, beginning with the Sabbath. All right, you have the Sabbath, and then you have the different high holy days. Some of the most high ones are the Passover and the Day of Atonement. Now we also keep the Feast of Hanukkah, which is not found in the scriptures except for in the book of St. John, the 10th chapter, and the Feast of Purim, which is found in the book of Esther, because the Feast of Purim was instituted later after these high holy days were put in place. And then there's other high holy days also, the day of Simon, I believe, and the day of Nicanor, but the most, which is found in the book of Maccabees, but the ones we focus on the most are the ones in Leviticus 23, the one in First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, and then the one in the book of Esther. All right. So you could read that, Elder Kanak, Leviticus 23 and 23.
Yep, this is Leviticus 23 and 23, and it reads, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation."
Right, and nowhere in here does it say Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. The head of the year is Abib. All right, Abib would be during the springtime. You have something called the vernal equinox. Vernal meaning spring, equinox is equal night. pretty much equal 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night, for so you could understand. And that's when the first day of the year would occur or appear, which would be a new moon. All right, and the new moons dictate time. The moon dictates time. The reason why the moon was created was to dictate time for us to keep. The Lord, the Most High, is the Ancient of Days. When He established the world through Yahushua and the angels, they later on gave us direction on what to do and how to keep everything. All right, and that's why the moon was established as the first day of the month. Which, when you look at the word new moon, which goes back to the Hebrew word chadash, which means new or new moon, the word moon itself goes back to the word month. All right, because you have to have a starting point. The Lord says 6 days shall work be done, and on the seventh shall be a Sabbath. So if that's the case, what is the starting point? What is the first day, consist of? When do we begin to count? And in this society, we're following the Julian/Gregorian calendar, which they'll tell you that the February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, so on and so forth. That's the beginning of the month, but not necessarily. This is why sometimes people get confused, because when you look at the modern calendar that we're dealing with, some months are so long that you'll have 2 new moons within 1 month, which means that month is off. That time is off according to the timeline of the Heavenly Father, and everything is upside down. That's why we're rehearsing the righteous acts, and we're keeping it to the best of our ability. Once the kingdom is established, everything is going to be made perfect. It's going to be flawless. Right now we're just rehearsing the righteous acts. That's why sometimes we have to move, the calendar and the high holy days up a month, or adjust for the time, the calendar that we're trying to keep now.
Can I get up, bring a precept out? Daniel 7:25.
All right, let me get that real quick.
And this is for what you were just saying, how you might have 2 new moons in 1 month, which shows you that the calendar, how they do the calendar, is off, because a new moon represents a new month. Daniel 7:25, which we can apply that now, today.
It applies to today.
It applies
with America, yeah. Daniel 8:25 is
right, yeah.
But we still use it for today.
Gone.
But Daniel 7:25 is definitely speaking about today.
That's it. And he spake, and he shall speak great words against the Most High.
That's dealing with America, man.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand unto a time and times and a dividing of time.
Right. And then once this time period passed, which was the time from the bulk of the slaves in 1620 that were brought in 1619, 1620 till around 1969, 1970. After that, that's when this devil, his kingdom was on a steady decline. That's when America became totally demoralized outwardly. It was always corrupt, but that 1960s, 1970, that started to show the outward decay of the moral values of America.
Yeah, he went up and so-called went into the upper atmosphere space.
So-called, yep.
So-called went to the moon, and that's when he really started to decline, and that's when the truth started to really blossom. The Lord started to water the truth, and that's when it started to grow. Around that same time, after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of the Most High shall enter into them, and they shall stand upon their feet. That's when this Israelite movement started to gain speed.
Right. Now go to the NLT on that same scripture.
Okay.
Because I want to show you, because it says in the King James, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. So the NLT gives you a little bit more, so you can understand it a little better what it means by the great words.
Yeah, this is the NLT, Daniel 7:25. He will defy the Most High and oppress the holy people of the Most High.
Right, so he will defy the Most High. So he, with his pomp, with him, changing things, and him so-called establishing himself as a Christian Judeo nation, and establishing the laws of the Heavenly Father, so on and so forth, he defies the Most High, because when you look at the mannerisms and the laws of America, they don't reflect what the scriptures say. You know. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna real quick get. You could finish reading it.
Oh, okay. It says, he will try to change their sacred festivals and laws, and they will be placed under his control for a time, times, and half a time.
Right. Now it says, let me go back. It says, he shall speak great words. Right. Now, when we go to the Hebrew of he shall speak, the word speak there is malal, right? Which is to speak, to say, and then we got to go back, and then with the word, because the word or words is debar or debar yum. But in this case, the word for words is the word malah, which is word, thing, word, utterance, command, thing, affair, matter. And pretty much it's through their legislation that they're pushing this. You know, that's why it says that he shall think to change times and laws. And this is the way that they defy the Most High, or think that they defy them.
Yeah, to try to upset prophecies, you know, and to really turn everything upside down, and really to take the knowledge of the Most High away from the earth. That's the whole point of what Esau is doing. He's replacing the knowledge of the Most High with his knowledge, his left-hand knowledge. And that goes into the different the calendar as well, because the Lord got a calendar. So Esau said, no, I got a calendar, and this is how we're gonna do it.
Right. Now we go to the Hebrew of the word times, right? It says a set, the word there is zaman. It says a set time, season. So that's what he's done. He's taken the Lord's time and changed it. And then when you go to the word laws, right? The word there's dath, which means decree, law, a decree of the king, law of the Most High. So they're not abiding by the laws of the Most High. That's what the Lord said unto the wicked. The Lord said, what has thou to do to declare my statutes, or thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction and casting my word behind it. It's not like you don't have the instruction book. You have it, but you don't follow the instruction book. You know, this is why the earth is in the condition that it's in. You know, like Elder Pascal always goes into, you know, the land Sabbaths. If you were to follow the land Sabbaths, the earth would be in a better condition. But through your greed and your demonic ways, you know, you haven't done that. That's why the earth is rising against you. Yeah,
because it shows you that you're disobedient. You know, and you don't hold the Most High's word, the Bible, as actual law. You know, what you make people believe that you follow the law, you follow the Most High, you follow God, when it's totally the opposite. Just going back to what the apostle saying about the Lamb Sabbath, that can solve a lot of problems. Just that alone, you start to destroy the earth by not allowing the land to rest. Just for example, try not to go to sleep. Right, you're gonna over time. You might be able to stay up 2 days, 3 days, but over time, and you might even be able to take some type of substance to make you stay up longer. But over time, what's going to happen? That body is going to be destroyed. It's going to degenerate. It's going to die.
And you're going to crash.
And you're going to crash.
Yep.
And that's what's happening. The nutrients is not even in the food anymore. You buy the tomato, you had a tomato 10 years ago, tastes completely different than when you have even a tomato now. Because all the minerals are out of the food, and then you're trying to eat clean and healthy, and it's like, damn, I'm still got low energy. You know? Yeah,
because everything's been depleted, because you don't follow the instructions that the Lord set up. You know, because, you know, back in the days, I remember when oranges were sweet. You know, they had seeds that taste really good.
Yeah.
You know, tomatoes had, like I said, a different taste to them. Each vegetable out there, each fruit out there has a distinctive taste to it. But with this chemical shit that you put out there, you know, things don't taste the same. But the people today, the younger generation today, they're used to that taste. You know, shit, if you're gonna eat, you know, some from box shit, you know, some highly processed shit, and you cool with that, of course, well, you ain't gonna eat a fruit, but if you do,
ignorance is bliss.
there you go.
Boom. Ignorance is bliss, and they're going so far to actually change humans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what's the ultimate goal of Esau Edom, is to now change you. That's what the fourth industrial revolution is all about. Is now changing how you actually interact with creation,
right?
By putting devices inside you.
Yeah, because see, the Lord requires obedience. What does the Lord require of a man, but that he shall fear the Lord, obey him?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just merely paraphrasing. So with the system that Esau's putting in place and this device that he wants to put in people, you're going to be forced to obey him.
Mm-hmm.
He has to do it forcefully. He has to do it unnaturally. See, but the Lord, does it, naturally. Because you don't follow the Lord, he's going to take you out.
Yep.
Bottom line. And then when the kingdom is established, the Lord is going to program us to be perfect. And this is what Esau's trying to do, because we're going to follow the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Shai's ways, laws, statutes, commandments perfectly, as he wants it to be. But Esau's trying to make us follow his ways, the way he wants to run things.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the outcome of this, this cesspool of iniquity.
Which is the way of death.
Yep.
And the Lord, he's put life and death in front of us. And you have Esau that's tempting the whole world to go with him to death, go down to hell, the depths of hell.
Yep.
Just being facetious.
Meaning destruction.
The pit.
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna experience that nuclear fire, which was really created for Esau, but those that Esau has deceived, they're gonna go right along with it. 2/3 of Jake, they're gonna experience what that nuclear fire is all about as well. Because that goes into that rebellion. Jake is rebellious.
That's it. All right, so let's go back to Leviticus 23:24, and you can read that. And I want to pick out some words out of here so you can understand what this means.
God, this is Leviticus 23:24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath.
So boom, automatically the first day of the month is a Sabbath. Why? Because it's a new moon. There's plenty of precepts on that you could go to. Brothers have done countless videos on it, and if a brother spirit jump on them to do videos on the new moon, and by all means, jump on down. And it shows you that the new moon, or the first day of the month, let me read it again. In the first day of the month shall you have a Sabbath, which shows you that the new moon is a Sabbath.
There you go.
And that's the main point. So if the new moon is a Sabbath and it's the first day, the order goes what? 6 days shall work to be done, and the 7th day shall be a Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be a beginning kind of. The Lord said, it's like the Lord say, don't take the MOTB, but he never identifies what the MOTB is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know what to avoid? How do you know what to keep if you don't know how to count?
Yeah, like you were just saying, like you have the identifier is what's the first day.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to compare something with something.
Right.
So it's telling us the first day is a Sabbath. And then you go 6 days after that, and then you're going to have another Sabbath right after that, which is going to be the second Sabbath.
Right. Which would be the first day is the new moon, Sabbath. 6 days work shall be done. So by the end of the 6th day would be day 7.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of the next day, which is a Sabbath, would be the 8th day. Then you go another 6, that it's Sabbath. Another, till you get to the end of the month. And that's why you have a transition of 29.35 days or so, 5.3 days, something like that. I forget the exact number, but it's like 29 and a half days from one new moon cycle to another. And that gives you your 4-week cycle. You see?
Which, going back to, Esau changing, thought to change times and seasons and the minds of the people, because this is now a concept that Jake bucks up against.
Yep, they scoff at it.
They scoff at it. They buck up against because they are comfortable with the way of Esau, when it's clearly the Israelites did not have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That's clear. I mean, you can't You can't even argue that fact.
Mm-mm.
That's not in the scriptures. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the identifier of the first day then?
Exactly, which they don't identify. And the thing about it, because this was an argument back then that in Spanish the word for Sabbath is sábado,
Mm-hmm.
and the word sábado is Saturday. But when did the Spanish language come about? It didn't come about to the 1300s. Just like the beginning of the English language didn't come about to roughly, I believe that was around the 5th century AD. So the 1300s, that's when the Spanish language came around. And then by that point, you had the church fathers that were pushing, certain, doctrines that weren't correct. You see? But when you go back and you follow the guideline that the Lord set for us, the new moon being the first day, and you make your count from there, you got it.
Well, the Spanish goes back to the Latin.
Yep.
Which goes back to Rome.
That's it.
Which goes back to the same system that's been rebirthed here in America.
Right.
Why wouldn't we go back to the Hebrew? Why wouldn't we go back to our culture?
Mm-hmm. Saturday. But anyway, and that was something that Jake did following behind Esau, Amalek. Now, I want to look up this word memorial of blowing of trumpets, right? So the word memorial is a combination word. You got memorial, which is Zakar 1. Now, Zakar means to remember or monument. Zakar 1 is memorial, a reminder, remembrance. So the new moon on the memorial of blowing of the trumpets was a remembrance, that the feast of ingathering was coming in, the last harvest of the year. All right. And when we go back once again, and we go to the next word, which is
they blowing the trumpet.
Right. Let me see. Memorial. Blowing of trumpets. Right. Blowing of trumpets is the word Tharawaiha. Tharawaiha. Right. It says alarm, signal, sound of tempest, shout, or blast of war, or alarm of joy, or joy. So you had different ways that the trumpet would blow. And the different ways that the trumpet would blow would let you know, okay, that means that the new moon's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We got a new month coming in. Because obviously, they got their, Issachar, which was the main tribe that kept their eyes to the sky. That's why you had the Mayan calendar. They were like, okay, boo,
Mm-hmm.
that means the new moon's coming in. But then when they would, you had two trumpets that were created. And notice where we're going to get that in the book of Numbers, right? And those two trumpets that were created were made of silver, one piece, right? And those two trumpets were used to call the people, or to call raise an alarm of war, that war was coming, or to let the people know that, look, it's time to move, from one point to the next. So when you blew with one trumpet, only the leaders would come to the congregation or congregate. But when both trumpets would blow, the whole congregation would come. But then when you blow the trumpet and then you had sounded an alarm of war, that was time to get ready for war. And that's what it was for. Okay, blast for march, shout of joy with religious impulse, shout of joy in general. Alarm of war cry, battle cry. And going back, one more word here is the word convocation. Holy convocation. Holy is kodash. Convocation is ma quara'a, which is a compound word. Ma is other from, quara'a is to call. Right? So convocation, which the word convocation means with calling. All right? Convocation, convoking, meeting, a calling together. Convocation, sacred assembly. So it was a calling together to give a message to either the leaders or to give a message to the whole congregation, which the word congregation, con is with, and greg, obligation, means flock, with the flock. So that's what the memorial of blowing of trumpets was, to remind the people, to come in, the Sabbath is coming in, the feast of ingathering is coming, the final The Day of Atonement is right around the corner. Get your mind right, get your mind prepared for it. And the final ingathering of the harvest, or the last harvest, is coming in. Okay? So that was it on that. And you know, this, right, when you go to Leviticus 23 and 25, it says, "You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord." That was the sacrifices that had to be done, which we no longer have to do that. And one thing about the law, I was listening to the book of Leviticus earlier a little bit, and there's so many intricacies and so much stuff to be done, and this is like, wow, you know. And this is why Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Most High Yahweh sent Yahushai, you know, to be that, you know, atonement for us, because no way, it's impossible for any living being except for Yahushai to keep the law perfectly. Because there's so many intricacies and there's so much stuff to be done. You know, I mean, the priests they were overwhelmed with all of these different, you know, but the Lord had a spirit on them to deal with it, but it was a lot. I mean, there was a daily purification. There was a daily, you know, going into the temple. There was a daily, you know, taking account of everything, you know, setting the animals aside, and you know, it was a lot.
Yep.
You want to say something?
Yeah, just, impossible for us to fulfill perfectly in this mortal flesh. This is why we're gonna get that upgrade, you know, to be able to fulfill, you know, all the intricacies, all the details. And you know, the Lord wants things a certain way. He wants you to make an oil a certain way. He wants you to light a certain type of incense. He wants you to dress a particular way when you're doing the services. You know, we're gonna be able to completely do that with that fleshly heart, you know, and not hate on our brother, and not have problems at home, and everything's gonna be perfect.
Perfect. Yep. You know, and in the kingdom of heaven, you know, there's still going to be sacrifices, but there's not going to be any sacrifice for sins. You know, because we're going to be perfect. So why would there be any necessity for sin offerings when we're going to be perfect?
Well, we're gonna have to show the other nations how to do those sacrifices. So they're gonna have to sacrifice.
That's it.
You know, so we're gonna be the priests to teach them and show them how to, you know, follow the ways of Yahweh Bashem Shai, you know.
God. Now, we can go to Numbers 29.
Okay.
And 1. And you could open up the tools on there. See right there on the left, next to Numbers 29 and 1 right here.
You said the tools?
Yeah, see right there, the tools right there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then just go to cross reference.
Okay.
All right, so
yeah. I do the cross reference. Yeah.
So read the verse, and then we're gonna go into a little bit of this down here just to show you what they're saying. You know, which some of this stuff is off. You know, so we're gonna, you know, just touch on some of it. You know, whatever is off, we just let you know it's off. And like I said, the scripture doesn't go into specific detail for, you know, every little detail of, you know, of the feast of blowing, or the memorial of blowing of the trumpets, but pretty much, you know, you get the gist of what, you know, of what we just went into.
Yeah. So this is Numbers 29 and 1. It's it's tripping.
Yeah. Let us know we're still good. Okay, it's good.
Okay. Numbers 29 and 1. And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you.
Right. So this is just pretty much a reiteration. Right now, right, when you touch on the 7th month right here, right, it says that is the month Tisri, which the names of the months didn't come about till the Babylonian Empire. The only month that had a name was Abib, which means ear of corn, Abayab. You know, but those names didn't come till later. All right. It says the 7th month of their ecclesiastical year, you know, but the first of their civil year, answering to our September, this, which was their New Year's Day, it was not the New Year's Day. Matter of fact, let's dispel that myth. Let's go to Exodus. I believe that's 13 and 1. Is it? Or is it 12 and 1? We'll let you know right now. Just bear with us. Yeah, this thing's starting.
Yeah, it's starting to slow down or something.
I was just saying, but that's all right. And just want to say in advance, lock it to the scoffers. This is gonna be a boring one. I know it's the 12th chapter.
God.
Oh no, it is the 13th chapter.
We're about to open up the.
At 3.
Okay.
But mine is gonna go because this thing is going slow.
Okay. Yep. This is Exodus 13 and 3. And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of the hand of the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. Mm-hmm. This came ye out in the month Abib.
Right. So it says, and Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out of this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month of Abib. Maybe it is the 12th chapter. Haven't gone over this in a while, so let's see. No, it is Exodus 12.
Right, yeah. Exodus 12 and 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Right, which is what? During the time of the Passover. The Passover would come 2 weeks after that, because this would be the new moon, which is the so-called dark moon. And then 2 weeks later, which is the 14th that evening, would be the new moon. I'm sorry, the full moon. That would say would be the full moon that came in, because the full moon was a sign of feast. Most of the feasts, especially the high feast, came in the middle of the month during the time of the full moon. That's why it says in the book. Matter of fact, let's go there real quick. Let's go to Psalms 83. And we can go straight, because in the King James, right, it says it different, but when you go to the other translations, it gives you a better understanding of what it's talking about. Because in the King James, read it in the King James, and then we'll jump to the NLT.
Okay, Psalms 83.
And 81 and 3.
Yeah, 81. Yeah.
So like 81 and 3.
God. Psalms 81 and 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast.
Right. So now it sounds like it's saying blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed, right? And when you look at that time, the time appointed, right? Let's go there. The word there is kasa, and I wonder how they knew, because it doesn't say there full moon. In the English, why you just can't go, break it down in the English, your doctrine in the English. You have to go to the Hebrew.
Yep.
To see this word kasa, right? Which is what?
Full moon.
Right. Now, what does it mean? Does it mean that the new moon is the full moon? No. This is why we got to go and get the understanding. Now, read the NLT.
Got it. And this is going to be, 1 second.
Yep, Psalms 81 and 3.
Psalms 81 and 3
in the NLT.
In the NLT. Blow the ram's horn at new moon, and again at full moon, to call a festival.
Right, so you blow the trumpet for the ram's horn at new moon, because that's to usher in and let the people know the new moon coming, the Sabbath is here. Drop everything that you're doing, or make your necessary provisions and preparations before the Sabbath comes in. Right, it says, and again at full moon, to call a festival.
That's why you have to go into the Hebrew to get that understanding. If you just read it at face value in the English, you can get trapped up.
That's it.
And
now you can read the NIV too.
Come the NIV. Sound the ram's horn at the new moon, and when the moon is full, on the day of our festival.
That's it. So it's two separate times. It's not talking about one time, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, which is the full. No. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon and again in the full moon.
And I'm just looking at the different translations. Most of the translations say outside of King James version say the full moon. When you look at it, the King James just says the appointed time.
Right.
The New King James says the appointed. No, it says the full moon.
Right.
The NLT, the NIV, the ESV, the CSB.
That's it. So you will have to go to either a different translation or to the Hebrew to find out that that's talking about the full moon, where it says at the time appointed. All right. So going back to this 7th month, this is from Numbers 29 and 1. It says, that which was the New Year's Day, which is not, was a time of great festivity. It was a time of great festivity, but it was not the New Year. All right. The New Year we read comes in during the springtime, during the time of the Passover. Okay. And ushered in by the blowing of trumpets, whence it was also called the Feast of Blowing the Trumpets. In imitation of this, Jade festival,
Israelite festival.
Right, Israelite festival, different nations began the new year with sacrifices and festivities. So pretty much the new moon coming in September is really a heathenistic
Yeah.
And then with the Romans, they changed it to what? January 1st. So this, when you keep, when you say that the 7th month is the new year, you're pretty much following pagan customs. It says the ancient Egyptians did so, and the Persians also celebrated the Nawi Ruz, or New Year's Day, which they held on the vernal equinox. So the vernal equinox is not during the time of the 7th month.
Was that the fall?
No, the fall is the autumnal equinox.
Okay, autumnal. Okay.
The vernal equinox is the spring.
The spring, okay.
So that's not the September is not the vernal equinox.
Right.
The vernal equinox comes in February, March, depending on when the new moon comes in. It depends on the cycle of the moon and when the new moon comes in. It says, and which lasted 10 days, during which all ranks seemed to participate in one general joy. The rich sent present to the poor. All were dressed in their holiday clothes and kept open house and religious processions, music, dancing, a species of theatrical exhibition, rustic sports, and other pastimes presented a continued round of varied amusement. Right, and pretty much it's a feast day. It's a joyous time, but it's also a Sabbath. It says even the dead and the ideal beings were not forgotten. Rich viands being placed on the tops of the houses and high towers, the flower player, departed heroes. After the Mohammedan conquest, Persia, the celebration sensibly declined and lost totally ceased till the time of Jalaluddin, about 1082. Boom, 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 boom. Who, coming to the crown at the vernal equinox, reestablished the ancient festival, which has ever since been celebrated with pomp and acclamation. And then they give you some precepts. And when you go to, matter of fact, let's go to Nehemiah 7 and 73. Let me see. I may have to just pull it up, and I'll just come back to this. Nehemiah chapter 7 and verse 73.
God. This is Nehemiah 7 and 73. So the priests and the Levites and the porters and the singers and some of the people and the Nethims and all Israel dwelt in their cities. And when the 7th month came, the children of Israel were in their cities.
Right, the 7th month, because it was a time of great feast, celebration. It's a time of the new moon. It's a time of the 7th month. It's a time when, not too long after that, you're going to have to keep the Day of Atonement. So the new moons were just a reminder that the new month is coming in, because they didn't have calendars back then. As Elder Pastor always points out, You know, you didn't have a calendar in your house, you know, on your desktop, you know,
Yeah.
on your wall,
Mhm.
and every day you mark off, okay, oh, new moon's almost coming in. No, it was done by the watching of the moon. That's why you had watches. Matter of fact, go to Lamentations chapter 2 and verse 19.
Lamentations 2:19. Arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of the watches. Pour out thy heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands towards him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street.
Right. So it says, arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of the watches. So you had a watch, you had watchers. And who were the watchers? You know, you had Issachar that were the ones pretty much reading the heavens, you know, to set up the calendars and everything. All right, that's why you had the Mayan calendar. But the Latin tribes ain't Israelites.
More proof that they are.
Yep. Except for the watching. All right, so let's see what else we can glean off of this. All right, the first day of the month. The monthly sacrifices, this is back in Numbers 29 and the one, you know, what you call it. The monthly sacrifices were regulated by the new moons. And it is probable that the solemn sacrifices were appointed by the Most High to prevent the idolatry which was usual among the heathen at this period, who expressed the most extravagant rejoicing of their first appearance of the new moon. Excuse me. Moses, however, used the return of the moon only as one of the most natural and convenient measures of time, and appointed sacrifices to Yahweh to prevent the Israelites from falling into the idolatries of the heathen neighbors. Right. So when these small hats, right, worship so-called, you know, Rosh Hashanah, right? What they're doing is they're mimicking, and then you guys are following behind it. They're mimicking what the nations do, because that's what they do. You know, this was the beginning of the month for most of these heathen nations. We read about the Egyptians, we read about the Persians, right? So, right, let me see. Let me see what this says. Rosh Hashanah is a Jewish New Year. We could say that
is,
New Year,
yeah.
because that's their New Year,
Yep.
not ours.
Yep.
Our New Year as Israelites starts in the spring, depending on when the new moon comes in, when the vernal equinox comes in. It says a 2-day observance that marks the beginning of the high holy days, and it's only a 1 day. It's only a 1 day observance, because the day begins when? At evening, from evening to evening. In the morning and the evening, and the morning were the first day. It says a period of self-reflection and repentance that culminates in Yom Kippur. Now, Yom Kippur goes back to the Hebrew Yawam Kippur, which means Day of Atonement. All right. So let's go back to Numbers. That was it on that. So okay. So now let's go from there. We hit that point. And that's pretty much the main point on the memorial of blowing of the trumpets. All right. And you can read the book of Leviticus 23 to get more understanding of different high holy days. And that's pretty much it on that. So, you have anything you want to speak on?
Not necessarily.
Any points on the high holy day? Anything?
No.
All right, so we can shift gears.
Yeah.
And we were watching a documentary earlier called the Tuskegee. Is it Tuskegee? Yeah, the Tuskegee Red Tails, which were Jake's during. Let's see. They were that was their nickname, the Tuskegee Airmen, which there was an actual movie called Red Tails. Had red tails on their aircraft for identification purposes, and you know back then definitely Jake had a hard way to go because racism and all that, and they were pretty much set up there to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But unbeknownst to these devils, Jake was highly trained, and they had to go above and beyond, the call of duty to prove themselves.
Yep.
So they were going up there, they were kicking those Germans' asses,
Mhm.
and it got to the point where they got so good. Because at first, even I'm sure even afterwards, Esau was giving them all the junk jets,
Yeah.
planes, shit that was probably had shit missing and messed up,
Mhm.
and Jake made it work.
That's what Jake did,
And then I made a statement that here it is, Jake in the low condition, beginning with Judah, does such amazing things, such amazing inventions, such amazing things that they do. So how much more when we get into power, when we're perfected?
Yep.
So let's see what else we got here. The Tuskegee Airmen had red tails on their aircraft for identification purposes, as each fighter group in the World War II used distinct colors to distinguish their planes from others. Yeah, and I believe the Germans called them black birds or something like that. There was a German word, black birds, Swats or something, or however they said it. The red was the color chosen for the 332nd Fighter Group to make their planes easily recognizable. This earned them the famous Red Tails nickname, and bomber crews specifically requested their escort because of their proven effectiveness in combat despite the prejudice they faced. And that was the thing. When Jake established himself and showed that they were kicking them Germans' ass, now they were like a hot commodity.
Yeah, well, you see that in the entertainment industry, in the sports industry, football, basketball. Esau, he was doing that before. Jake was allowed. They had to have their own separate, leagues.
Right.
But Jake was just so much better. They let one Jake in, and they it's night and day. It's night and day between an Israelite and an Edomite. Well, you know what? Well, I'm gonna go to Genesis 25 because it speaks about that, how it gives a contrast between Jacob and Esau. Okay, and we're literally watching this play out right before our eyes. The only thing is the Lord gave power over Jake. Okay, the Lord gave Esau power over Jake to oppress Jake. But even in their oppressed state, you see this whole world, they follow after the Israelites, especially the so-called black man here in America. They're the ones who set all the trends, all the fashion. If you who made Ferrari good? Who made Bugatti? Who made all the designer clothing, made it popular? Rolex. It was Jake that rocked those things. Okay. And that's the spirit that the Lord has given our people, which is preferred over any other nation. It's just that Esau has the power over us economically, socially, militarily, and our people are in a low state. But even in our low state, we still are better than Esau. So let me just bring this out. I'll be right back. Genesis 25 and 23. Oh, I'll wait for the apostle to come. Yeah. I was just going into the contrast, like we were talking, even though Jake is in his low state, they're still better than Esau or any other nation.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that brought to mind, back in Genesis 25 and 23, right? So I'm pulling up that scripture. And if you want to, tap in, this is Genesis 25. And I'm going to kind of just go to the point, 25 and 22. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
Right. This is the beginning of the birth of the fraternal twins, Jacob and Esau. And the thing about it was so heavy was that these two babies are going to be polar opposites, one from the other, as far as dark is from light.
Yeah.
You know that, and the Lord set it up that way, and you can see that. Like the elder was talking about, how during when Esau first established, the basketball league, they was dribbling off corny, shooting the ball like this, like throwing it up, like come on, man, like how you throw a softball. That's how they were throwing them bullshit. Jay came in and revolutionized basketball
and made it entertaining.
You're right.
They made it look good, and this is the reason why people watch sports, because it looks good. If you see individuals that suck on the court or on the field, you're not going to watch it.
Right.
That don't have any speed, that can't make amazing catches and throws, that can't do amazing things, and then are fashionable. They look, their stature, their body look good. They have good facial features. They're real tall, and they're, you make it look good.
Right.
But you get a whole bunch of Edomites doing it. Nobody want to watch that shit.
Yeah, and even like bodybuilding.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Like bodybuilders, and that that fluorescent skin didn't look too good, so they had to, put stuff on.
Yeah, they got a tan
to kind of to tan it, to make it look, so that you can see the definition more, to make it more appealing. And
who really made bodybuilding great? It wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
It was.
He's a Jake.
Which he's a Jake. He's still a Jake. So that was. Right. But that's the only reason why you have that image of Esau that tries to be in bodybuilding. But you got guys like Ronnie Coleman and all, Jake, that really makes it great. Right. Which they in every sport, every thing in the world, engineering. You got Jake's, mathematics. When you really go in the nitty gritty, inventions, computer science. When you really go in the nitty gritty, there's always Israelites at the base of all these inventions.
Yeah, because you got Edomites getting credit for creating the internet, but it was really Jake from West Africa.
Yeah, Philip Emeagwali.
Yep. But Esau, and you know how he got the idea? He got the idea from watching the Beehive.
Yeah.
And all the interconnections that the Beehive had, and he had the idea to create this internet from just looking at a beehive and how everything was interconnected.
Yep. That's Jake.
You see? But that just shows you the mind of Jake. But Esau, look, you're inferior. You're stupid. You can't reason right. And that's what they were saying about the Tuskegee area. That they couldn't reason right. There's no way they're going to be able to go up there. Pretty much they set them up there to get slaughtered.
Yeah, just to prove a point of why we're so superior to you.
Right.
And
it went from that to being the hottest commodity.
That's it.
If you can get the red tails, get them.
Yeah, get them. Get them,
because they're going to
they're going to take care of they're going to take care of you. They're going to put the Oh, just like now, you a sports team, let's say for example the Atlanta Falcons or whatever. You want to get the best. You're looking to get the best Jake, the best, strongest, fastest, that jump the highest Jake from Alabama or Florida or Mississippi. You know what I mean? California. You want to get you got to get him. He's gonna make your team great.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing. And now what's happening is they're giving Jake the opportunity. They're giving Jake the opportunity to be in these positions. And they're outshining all these Edomites, and Esau's mad about it. This is why he wants to go back to good old Americana, the make America great again. But let me continue. But this is going right into the prophecies. Going right. We have the explanation. Genesis 25:23, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Yeah. So there's 2 contrasts. You have righteousness, Jacob; wickedness, Esau. The Lord put the Spirit on the Apostle Paul to make that distinction. 2 vessels from the same lump. You have the clay was who? That was Isaac. Right. And from that clay or that lump, you made 2 vessels. One was made unto honor, and the other one unto dishonor. 2 totally different spirits. two totally different. Esau has his gifts, the sword, hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Jake has his gifts, which
Yep.
far surpass Esau's gifts.
Yeah, Esau's gift is like the apostle said, the sword. He's a great hunter. He's a great liar. He's the ultimate liar. He's the ultimate deceiver. He can deceive. He can deceive far above anybody on earth. But that's his power. The Lord gave him that power to do that.
Yeah, and then you have like in these different sports arenas, you have different Edomite looking individuals that can compete with Jake.
Yeah.
But that's because they're Jakes.
Mm-hmm.
These are Israelite foreigners. Edomites they're not built like that.
Nope.
They're not built like Jake is built. This is why Esau got so mad. Well, at least we got hockey. Then
yeah. Jake, yeah.
Jake don't want to be in that cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then they I think they cracked him in the face with a hockey stick or some shit. I forget the story. He was kicking their ass. And they got jealous. Now they can't take this from us.
Yeah.
You can have rock climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Jake ain't trying to touch it. Tap into.
Yeah, Jake ain't trying to tap. But if Jake did,
yep.
This is the thing. If Jake did tap into it, they'll be the best.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? Whatever our people put our hands to, they're the best. And then even in these different arenas, maybe the best hockey player, the best rock climber, probably at the pinnacle of that is a life foreigner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And then you always had Jake being an underdog, and they had to rise to challenges, more than anyone else. They had a lot more obstacles to cover than Esau did. And that's why, like the Tuskegee Airmen, they became so great because not only did they learned and very intelligent, but they also had to overcome the obstacles of Esau, and be able to maneuver around that world that was provided for them, and that's how they became so great. So when they went up there to fight with the Germans, they pretty much applied the same principles that they did, having to maneuver around and then the Germans set up the most, the most high-powered jets. That's when that was first invented, and they got up there and they thought they was the shit.
Yeah.
And Jake figured them out, shot, the what you call it, or whatever it was he shot, a little further out than normal, and boom, took them down.
Mm-hmm.
And they was just like, God damn,
mm-hmm. Which this is why Esau is so scared to, have Jake believe that they're Israelites.
Yep.
Because when you understand your history, you start to understand how you're far superior to them. And really the only reason why they took us down because the Lord put them in power to take us down.
That's it.
All right. Because Gad was fucking Esau up, man. Gad, Reuben, these tribes over here, they was jacking Esau up. All right. But the Lord, he set it up to where, we went down. And that's the only reason, because just a random Jake out there in the streets physically can take on at least 3 to 4 Edomites at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's like your just average Jake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how much more when we're actually in power?
Yeah.
It's going to be fatality,
Once y'all chase
That's
power.
it. That's it.
It's so bad. You know what? Read that in the NLT.
Okay. This is in the NLT.
We can make a couple more points, and unless the spirit, keep it going,
Okay, NLT. And the Lord told her, the son in your womb will become 2 nations. The sons in your womb will become 2 nations. From the very beginning, the 2 nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and your older son will serve your younger son.
That's it. And it was always like that.
That's it.
So, Esau was mad. He stole my birthright. You steal your birthright. It wasn't yours to begin with. You were just keeping it warm.
And you despised it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was so-called technically, it was given to the firstborn, but prophetically, it was already set up for you to be, for you not to have it.
Even before you were born.
Even before you were born, you were set up for this very lot of being destroyed. The vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you're doing good on the earth. I can see, oh, you know, he did that. Jacob's doing bad, and I'm doing good. You're doing exactly what Esau would do.
Yeah.
And this is an identifier that you are the devil. Okay, and you're Mexi because these translations, Esau wrote these translations, so he knows what it is.
Yeah.
He knows that he's the Edomite. He's going to serve Jacob. You know.
That's it. That's it. Let's go to get a couple more pieces. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. I believe that's 22. Start at 22.
This is 2 Samuel 7 and 22. Wherefore thou art great, or Lord, O Lord, power. For there is none like thee, neither is there any God beside thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears.
Mm-hmm.
And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel?
Right. So there's no nation on the planet that's like the Israelites. And like I said, you know, you look at the low state that Jacob is in, beginning with Judah, and how great accomplishments and struggles that they've overcome, and how great they still are in such a low state, in such a weak state. So just imagine when the kingdom of heaven is established and the Lord gives us the full power. You can just imagine.
Mm-hmm. Whom the Most High went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land, because thy people was before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods.
Yeah.
For thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people Israel to be a people unto thee forever.
And that's never changed, and that will never change. Right?
And thou, Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, art become their power.
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 28, and you know, pretty much that's
God.
all I have. If you have anything, you could. Deuteronomy 28, and just bear with me 1 second while I find the verse. You know what I'm looking for?
Well, press thee, or
where it says above all people.
Above all people.
Yeah. Oh, the first.
That's the first. Yeah, the first verse.
Yeah,
the first verse. Yep. Yeah, because I was like, we're not talking about the curses. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Deuteronomy 28 and 1.
And the only reason why we fell under you is because of the curses. The Lord stripped us of that greatness. Okay?
Yep. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Yeah, because we're the only nation that's the apple of the Lord's eye. We're the only nation that's considered a holy nation, a holy priesthood, a kingdom of priests. No other nation is looked at in the view of Israel. Although the Lord be mad, but you could just tell by the way that Jake is, the way that they operate, the magnificent things that they can do, that we are the people of the Most High. Esau ain't got that. He ain't got that flavor.
Yeah, Esau, he just has things to kill, to destroy. He can destroy great things. Jake actually has a spirit to create, and to make it look good. Because ultimately, in a Israelites, they're really we're a pleasant people. We're a peaceful people, really. Well, the scriptures say in Proverbs 12 and 26, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. There you go. Did you have anything else?
That was it.
Okay, I just got one scripture.
Yeah, right.
Yep, this is Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy 7 and 6, it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power, which, a separate people. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
That means just that. above all people. You know, so thou art an holy people unto the Lord. What made us holy? The law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to us, and that's how He joined us to Him. It says, "The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself." That right there, above all people that are upon the face of the earth, and that has never changed, and that will never change. You know, so just look at Jake in the state that we're in today, and the greatness that we can accomplish. Just imagine in the kingdom when we get our full power. You know, it's going to be, all bets are going to be off.
Well, even in our low state, all the nations want to be like us.
There you go.
So how much more when we're in that power position?
You have anything else?
That's it.
All right, so with that, we pray that your brothers and sisters have been edified. So the next time we say, Shalom.
Shalom.
Hour 5 minutes.